Hello, beautiful soul sister, and welcome back to another episode of the Soul Powered Podcast. I'm your host, Rebecca Kiger. I'm a trauma-informed master mindset and money coach, as well as a financial expert of over 17 years. I have spent my entire adult life studying the difference between successful and unsuccessful people, and I plan on sharing all of the things with you on this journey together. This podcast is called the Soul Powered Podcast because it's my desire to share with you how to create a life that is powered by your soul, not by societal standards or what everyone else in your life tells you that you should be doing, but actually powered by your soul. The reason you'd want to do this is because I believe that this is the fastest way to unlock your portal to prosperity and become what I call the wildly wealthy woman. This is the portal that once you enter it, you gain access to the prosperity, abundance, wealth, time freedom, experiences, fulfillment that are your birthright. I don't believe that you came here to build someone else's dreams. I believe you came here to live your soul-powered life and live it to the fullest. And I plan on sharing with you exactly how to do that during our time together. So thank you so much for being here. I know we're going to have so much fun together today. Let's dive in. Welcome back, my loves, to another episode of the Soul Powered Podcast. Today is going to be a little different. Today is a solo episode, and I really feel super aligned today, super in the flow, and this is going to be more of a channeled message from my higher self to yours. And today we're going to talk about this concept of what success actually is versus what society has us believe that it is. Because I have seen this trend of so many women, so many people in general, who are just stuck in this trap of going after the things. Like they're really doing their best to manifest every single thing that society tells them is going to bring them happiness, only to find out that it all was a lie. Like it literally all was a lie. And I learned this the hard way, but I also had the opportunity, speaking from experience of almost 2 decades of being all up in people's bank accounts, being all in their finances, being able to have a kind of peek behind the curtain of what actually makes people happy. What actually makes people successful? What actually makes people fulfilled? What actually creates true and lasting freedom in this life? And I'm so honored to be able to have walked that path and that journey. And I know that I wouldn't be here today having these conversations with you and sharing these things if I didn't go through that. And I didn't have the opportunity to get into this industry at such a young age. But one of the things, and you might resonate with this, that I see often, and I heard it described in this way, is that, especially as women, we're just chasing the next thing because society is coming at us from all different angles, telling us what it is that we need to do, what it is we need to acquire, who it is that we need to become, how much money we need to make, how good we need to be as a cook and as a mother and as a spouse and as a daughter and as a sister and all of these things that society has us telling ourselves is what defines success. And we're pulled in all these different directions. And so we just start moving, we start going, we start trying, and we're like hustling our way to this place of societal success. And I heard it described in a way where one day you wake up and you look around and you see the house that you've acquired with the white picket fence and the dog, and you've got the kids and the husband, got the cars, you've got the bank accounts, you've got the success. And you're there asking yourself, is this really it? Is this all it is? Because I'm fucking miserable. And it's that moment in which you realize that none of those things actually were what defined success. None of those external things or what was going to bring you the happiness in the fucking first place, but you spent your entire life chasing after them. And if you're still there right now and you're chasing and you're on this hamster wheel that you're going and you're going and you're going and you're not seeing any progress towards true actual fulfillment, then this conversation is divinely put into your lap for a reason. Because we're going to go there today and we're going to talk about the differences and what it actually means to be successful. And I believe that we're here to redefine this concept of success. I believe that we, especially as like millennials, because we were taught from our parents' perspective that, which they were, right, programmed and conditioned to believe that we've got to go to school, we've got to, graduate from high school at 18, we've got to go to more school, we've got to pay for that school, right? So we've got to put all of this money, take out all of these loans, which obviously doesn't result in a great potential future. But we've got to do all of these things. Then we got to go to work for someone else to build someone else's dreams, do that for 30 years, barely have enough money to be able to survive. I mean, especially in this environment, right? This isn't the way that our parents lived, but it's the way that this society is. And most people have barely enough to even survive. On average, as a matter of fact, I think it's like 76% of Americans have less than $400 saved in the event of an emergency. Like that's astronomical. And actually, I looked at that like a couple years ago. So it's probably even more now with the recession and all the things that's going on. And so that's the reality, is that most people will end up in that position and they don't have abundance and they don't have overflow and they don't have any of the things that they were promised, but they did it. They did all of the things, right? And maybe you do have the house, maybe you do have the kids, maybe you do have the spouse, maybe you do have those things and you're still looking at your life like, I thought there was more to this. I thought this would bring me happiness. I thought that there would be some internal feeling to match the external, but that's not the way it works. And we've got to redefine this. We've got to be able to say that this isn't what we're going to subscribe to anymore. We're simply not going to subscribe to this any longer. This is not going to be our reality. And until we do that, it's going to keep happening and it's going to happen to our kids and their kids and their kids and their kids. And we're going to be cogs in this system for the rest of forever until we decide to stand up and say enough is enough. And I know for me in my life, that's what I've done. I know that as a result of me doing this work, that I have changed the course and the trajectory of my family's future. I know that I have changed the trajectory of my daughter and her kids and their kids' lives. I know that because I'm creating something that will last far beyond me, a legacy that will last far beyond what I can even imagine right now. And I'm only just getting started. So I know that my daughter's life is going to be so different, and it already is so different than mine. But that's because I have prioritized what it means to actually be successful, to create real success. So, in order for us to know how to create real success, we have to talk about what is societal success. What is the old paradigm? What is the old way of doing things that no longer serves us? So, the old way of doing things, like I described, was going to school and getting a job for someone else and just doing the things like picking something because someone told you that it was going to make you a lot of money, even though you started doing it and you decided that you hated it. You literally are doing something that you hate, or you're doing something even in your business, if you started a business, that you are doing because someone else told you to do it. And there's things that you're doing right now that you think you have to do in order to make money. There's things that you are doing right now that you are denying your own self. You are denying your own wishes. You're denying your own intuition. You're denying yourself over and over and over and over again because you think that you have to do it. Sis, I'm telling you right now, put it down. If this is how you're feeling, that's the old paradigm. That's going to lead you to success without fulfillment, which Tony Robbins is quoted saying is the ultimate failure. And I can tell you firsthand that that is true. I can tell you that from being in a job where I went from, I mean, my gosh, most of you who have been here know my story, right? I mean, going from where I came from growing up below the poverty line with my mom being a single mom with 7 kids and us having nothing, not fucking 2 cents to rub together. I was just talking to my mom about this last night, and, like, she was reminding me of the different side hustles that she used to have and how we would literally collect cans, like aluminum cans of pop and, like, canned vegetables and things, and if you've ever looked at that, which, I mean, most people probably wouldn't because you don't know to do this, but if you look at a pop can, let's say, or a soda can, depending on where you are, which, by the way, pop is actually the grammatically correct way of saying that because it's actually called soda pop, and soda is an adjective to describe the word pop. So, anyways, not the point, but you wouldn't walk around saying that's a beautiful instead of saying that's a beautiful person, right? So you would either call them a person or you would call them a beautiful person, not a beautiful. So, anyways, not the point. I'm a little bit of a grammar Nazi, but that's okay. Not the point of our conversation. But the point is that we would get these pop cans when we were growing up, and we would actually collect them and then turn them in. I don't even know where we turn them in, but if you look on a pop can, you can see like there's a numeric value, like a dollar amount. It's actually like 5 cents or something on the pop can somewhere, or at least there was back then. And what that means is that's how much you get if you bring that to whatever type of recycling or collection, whatever it was that we were doing. That was a side hustle. We had to go and like collect all of these pop cans. So if we found a pop can on the side of the road, we would pick it up and like we would wait until we had a bunch because we didn't have a bunch of pop when we were kids. I mean, my mom didn't have enough money for that stuff, but canned goods she did. And so we'd save those too. And then like if we ever had a party or even our family members through parties and things, we would just take all of the pop cans. We would collect them all. And then my mom would go turn them in and get, $20 or whatever it was. That was a side hustle. She also had some other kind of side hustle. I don't even honestly remember exactly what it was. It was some sort of welding thing that we would do. I don't know. She got 2 cents for every single one that we would do. And so we'd sit there and we'd do them as a family. We delivered papers as a family. I mean, the things that we did for like no money at all, it was kind of crazy. But so just to paint the picture for where things were, going from that place to becoming a teen mom myself, living on government assistance, not really knowing where, I was going to be able to sometimes provide for my daughter. I mean, I got food stamps at the time, and there was a point in time that I got cash assistance from the government, which means that you make so little money that the government actually gives you just like spending money that I would need for, diapers or things like that for Lana. Going from that place to where I am now, it's like it's a completely different timeline. It's night and actual day from where I came from, right? So take it from me who went from there to a very high paying corporate job, multiple 6 figures, really like crushing it, high performer, right? Of course, I mean, I was an overachiever and like working until my eyes bled, I feel like, but going from that place to there to be able to like literally quit my job and say, okay, I'm going to go and do something that lights me up. I'm going to go and fulfill myself in another way because my soul is calling for this. And to make that leap of faith, people thought I was crazy. I mean, I'm not saying just, oh, people thought I was crazy. No, no, no. I'm talking about like absolutely nuts. I won't name names, but people told me that I was making the worst mistake of my life, that I was a bad mother, and that I was going to ruin the financial future of my family, that I just have this pipe dream and it's never going to work out and it's not actually going to result in anything. It's not going to turn into anything. I'm never really going to be successful and I'll be back to work eventually and I'll be in a worse off position once that time comes. And so you better hope that, somebody's willing to take you back kind of thing. To say that that didn't affect me is a lie. I mean, of course it did, but I knew my conviction in what it was that I was supposed to be doing was bigger than the fear. And that's what I want to get across to you is there's so many people, you guys, who are literally conditioned and programmed, and they're projecting so much of their own fucking fear onto you. Like if you even understood that every single time someone says something to you that is disempowering, that is designed to keep you small, it's not because they don't believe that you can do it. It's because they don't believe that they can do it, because they have limiting beliefs. They have thoughts about what's possible for them based on what their parents told them, based on what society has told them, based on where their nervous system is set, based on all of those things. And I'm here to tell you right now that you have the opportunity to believe them if you want. But remember, it's your beliefs that shape your reality and not the other way around. And even in the word belief, you spell it out, there's the word lie. A belief in and of itself is a lie that you just keep telling yourself over and over. It is not true. The reason I know this is because truth with a capital T means that it's true for everyone. If it's not true for every single person on the face of this planet, then it is not true. It is a belief. And so when they're telling you these things, oh, you can't do it, that's not the kind of person you are, you're not capable, or maybe you're telling yourself these things. I'm not capable. Who am I to do this? I'm going to fail. And if I fail, I'm going to go ahead and ruin everybody's, perspective of me. And I'm going to ruin my reputation. And my family's going to disown me. And then I'm going to die because I'm going to end up homeless or something. I mean, I know I laugh about that, but that's where the fear brain goes, guys. This is why regulating your nervous system is the most important thing you can ever do in your life, because your fear brain is always going to go to the worst case scenario, which isn't really true, right? It sounds kind of foolish when you hear me talk about it, but that's really where your brain goes most of the time if you're in survival, just like I was. So the old paradigm is this idea that we have to do what other people want us to do. We have to do it the way other people want to do it. We have to trade time for money. We have to go to work. We have to sacrifice. We have to grind. We have to hustle. We have to work more hours. We have to work longer in order to make more money. And we couldn't even fathom in that old paradigm what it would be like to create something different, where you get paid just to exist, where the less you do, the more you make. And the thing is that that is also true on the other side. But see, what got you here isn't going to get you there, because Albert Einstein's quoted saying that you can't solve a problem with the same level of thinking that you had to create it. So the level of thinking that you have been up until this point of your consciousness perspective and where you are right now, it has gotten you where you are. It's not going to take you to the next step. You've got to change. You've got to change your consciousness. You've got to change your perspective. You've got to change your vibration. And guess what? You know what the nervous system hates more than anything? Change. Why? Because it's unknown. So the whole goal is to regulate the nervous system, to be able to feel safe stepping into a new timeline, stepping into a new paradigm, stepping into a new life. That's why this work is so important, because you're never going to get there unless you can make it safe within the body. So what is this new paradigm? What is this new way of doing things? What is actually success? Okay, so I'll tell you that watching people for the last 20 years and in my own life, that true success and wealth is an inside job. And I know that that might be super simple. And a lot of people, because it's super simple, will say, I've already heard this, or, whatever, that's too easy. And that's fine. I can't force you to take action. I can't force you to do anything. And I'm not here to do that. I'm here to provide a container for you to make your own change. And it's an inside job. Because if I told you story after story after story, which I will in order to prove it to you, but story after story after story of people who've had more money than they will possibly ever be able to spend, more money than they know what to do with, who are fucking miserable, more money than they will ever know what to do with, who are committing suicide. Seen it firsthand on countless occasions, have more than they need, way more than they need, more than they will ever spend. And they fret and they stress, and all they are consumed by is the stress around the money, that it's going to disappear, that it's going to go away, that the other shoe is going to fall, that somehow somebody's going to come and take it away. And it's all consuming to the point where people have died from stress-induced illnesses. I've watched it through the years. You guys, I'm not saying this stuff because I want to hear myself speak. I'm saying this stuff because I really have seen it, you guys. I've gotten to know these people through the years. I've developed relationships and friendships with clients who have killed themselves because of money. If you don't think that that changes you from a biological perspective, I don't know what would. I don't know what would change someone more than watching those kinds of things happen. I don't know. You see, because when I was a child, I remember thinking if I just had money, all my problems would go away. Into my adulthood, if I just had more money, 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 and then guess what? I got the money and none of my problems went away. Sure, it creates convenience. Sure, there's more things that I can do, but the misery that I felt inside, the hatred for the system itself, all of the low vibrational emotions that I felt from being out of alignment with my soul's path, money didn't heal, you guys. You see, once you get to a certain place, you realize that it was never about the money. Most people have to find this out the hard way, and that's fine. That's fine. If you want to keep going in that direction, that's fine. I can't tell you to otherwise because I did it too. I just know that there's a better way. I know that there's a better way, and I've developed a process and a system to be able to get there and a lot fucking faster than I was able to. I don't want it to take you as long. You can choose to let it take you as long. That's fine. That's your free will. But I really don't want to see that for you. And if you're in my world, I'm going to do my best to help you avoid some of the old paradigm ways of living. The new paradigm way of living is living in alignment with your soul's purpose, doing what it is that you love. And that doesn't actually always mean having your own business. You know, we need people working, right? There's people who love what they do. They live for it. They love their job. If that's you, by all means, attach yourself to someone who has a business or a corporation that you've fallen in love with and go and help them to grow that business or whatever your role is, go and do it. And for those of you who are entrepreneurs, stop trying to build your business based on what everyone else and society tells you to do, that you should be doing, that you should have done by now, that you should have in place. You know what happens when you do all of that shoulding? You should all over your fucking self. That's enough. When is it going to be enough? What's it going to take? How far out of alignment do you want to keep going? Because it's your free will. You can go as far out of alignment as you want. But I've shared this on the podcast before that I believe that life is like a video game. I really, truly do. And if you imagine it as though your higher self is like the controller, so like the one who's holding the controls, and you're the one who's in the video game, your higher self is trying to direct you towards what it is that she knows is best for you long term, based on why it is that you came here to this planet, your mission, your purpose, your desires on this earth are tied to this idea of your higher self knows where to guide you to get you to that destination. And the way that that happens, if you imagine yourself playing a video game. If you're playing a video game, you can see the whole landscape on your TV or whatever screen that you're playing on. Just imagining like when I was a kid playing Mario Kart. So I'm playing Mario Kart, I can see a lot more than if I imagine that Mario is looking through his own eyes. He can probably see a lot less than me. He can't see as far. And it's even more advanced now with these, that's kind of like a 2D video game, but the 3D video games and 4K and all that stuff, like now that they play, you can really see a heck of a lot more. So your higher self is like seeing this whole landscape, and she knows where the treasure is. She knows where the gold is. And she's trying to guide you towards it. Everything that you desire, not just the gold in terms of money, but yes, money, of course. That's what allows for us to have, be able to experience things and to be able to have choice in life. But the real gold is happiness, fulfillment, detachment, wholeness, truth, self-expression, positive relationships, emotional regulation and IQ, peace of mind, peace of body. That all doesn't come as a result of just money, by the way. That is an inside job. And that's exactly what it is that I work with my clients on. So your higher self knows where everything that you desire is. And she's guiding you by like trying to move the controls. And because you have free will, it doesn't work exactly like a video game, because if you start moving the video game controller, your avatar is going to go where you direct it. But have you ever seen the movie Free Guy on Netflix? If you haven't, it's with Ryan Reynolds, which he's super hot. So another bonus to watch it. This is kind of how I see life. And it's really interesting because I had this download from the universe about how this all works. And then my daughter was like, I was explaining it to her the one night and she was like, have you ever seen Free Guy? And I'm like, no. She said, you need to watch it. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what they talk about in this movie. So it's kind of like subliminal messaging. I'm always looking for that kind of stuff. So in this movie, if you haven't seen it, and if you have, just forgive me and bear with me. In this movie, Ryan Reynolds he's in a video game, but all of a sudden he wakes up and he realizes he's in a video game. And he's wondering why everyone else around him is doing the exact same thing every single day over and over and over. And he starts to kind of try to wake other people up. Anyways, go and watch the movie. I'm not going to ruin it for you, but the point is, imagine that you're the avatar in the game. So you're simultaneously here and you're simultaneously your higher self, because your higher self is playing you in the video game. Makes sense? So the way that we know that we're going in the right direction is when your higher self nudges you to move to the right. Let's say that the treasure and everything that you want is somewhere to the right of the screen, but you can't see it right now because there's a big mountain in front of you. And there's also like a valley and a river and whatnot that you'll have to cross, but she can see it. And she's like, okay, let's go this way. And you start to create some resistance. You're like, no, I want to go in this way. Well, when you do that, the indication that you're going in the wrong direction is it doesn't feel good to you. That is your indication from your higher self. That's not the direction that you're supposed to go. That's why every time that you tell yourself, I'm not worthy of this, I'm not deserving of good things, I can't take time off, I can't rest, I can't do anything without working till my nose bleeds. Well, does that feel good for you? Of course it doesn't, because it's not true and it's not in the direction of where it is that you're being called to go. When you are moving in the direction of where you're being called to go, you feel good emotions. You feel positive emotions. You feel happiness and joy and fulfillment. That's a sign, girl. I'm here to tell you that that is a sign from your higher self that you're going in the right direction. And the more that you follow that, the more breadcrumbs that you begin to follow, the more your higher self is like, okay, she's listening. Let's leave more clues. Let's leave more synchronicities. And then you start to see more and more and more and more of it. And then it's like you're actually living in a miracle. Like every moment of your life is a miracle. And I always tell my husband this, there's two types of people because he's still a little bit of a skeptic with this. Even though he's deeply spiritual, he sometimes is like, I don't know, babe, that's a little stretch. I don't know if that's a sign from the universe. And I think there's two different types of people. One that believes that nothing is a miracle, and another that believes that everything is a miracle. And I am certainly the latter. I believe that every single breadcrumb that I see is another message, is another light bulb, is another sign from the universe that I'm on the right path. I believe that wholeheartedly. And because I believe that, I see more and more and more evidence of it. I start to live in this place where it's like everything around me is working in my favor. Everything around me is here because I created it. Everything in my reality is working in my favor. And it's no longer just something I say, it's who I am. These synchronicities cannot be explained away. It's too much now. There's too many now. You can't explain away my entire life because that's what you would be doing if you tried to discredit this. The synchronicities are too strong. And that means that I'm on the right path. Even the other day, and I don't actually know the significance of this, but it's just like really funny things like this. I was driving and my husband and I were going to date night, and we were driving like in our kind of in our neighborhood, and then we made a turn that we don't usually make because we were going to this one restaurant that was kind of back in this little neighborhood. And I look over and I'm like, "Oh, that guy who was out cutting the grass, or was a guy cutting the grass in his yard, was a friend of my cousin's." And I didn't know he lived there. I was like, "Oh, that's weird." He was literally like my cousin's best friend growing up. And I remember always like seeing him and stuff. And there was really no significance to that. I was like, "Oh, that's weird." I haven't seen him probably in like 20 years. I didn't even know he lived there. And that was it. Let it go, kept going. We ended up not going to that restaurant because it was packed and there was a big wait. So we went somewhere else, which was like, I don't know, 10 minutes away. So we get to the restaurant and sit down, we start eating, and then there's another couple and their couple kids that sat down at the table directly behind us, like next to us, kind of catty corner. And I look back and I was like, "Oh, that fucking guy." Like, what the hell? Like, I haven't seen him in 20 years. And I just saw him, and like that was weird in of itself. Like that wasn't, strange. Like it's just that happens, of course. But then he's sitting right next to me at a restaurant at the exact same time. We chose the exact same restaurant that was like not even close to where we live. Probably, like I said, about a 10-minute drive away. Why did he choose that exact restaurant, that exact time to sit down exactly at that table? Like, I don't know the significance of it, but I just think it's so cool that something like that happens all of the time. And that one, again, it's just a synchronicity. It's just something to be like, oh, like the universe is like sending you a little breadcrumb that, like, you created this. You're creating these things. Whatever you're thinking of, you're manifesting. And because there was whatever, I had a little moment with like, oh, that's cool. I haven't seen him in a long time. And then he shows up. It's like, oh, that's kind of weird. Or, times where I'm driving and literally it's been insane lately where every single uh license plate that I look at is an angel number. Every single time I look at a sign, it's like an angel number. There's 888 or 333 or 555 or 444. Every time I look at the, computer and I happen to look at the time, it's another angel number. It's just things like that where I haven't picked up my phone in 20 minutes because I was working on something, or 50 minutes or an hour. And then I pick it up and it's exactly 444. It's stuff like that that is just very, very consistent. And I think that where we sometimes get so distracted by things, we can miss this stuff. We can miss it so freaking easily. I walked outside the other day and I literally was walking out to go to the gym. And on my little driveway, there was a hummingbird that just like was flying through the air, and it stopped like almost like 5 feet away from me, in front of me, stopped flying for a minute, was there for like, I don't know, 10 seconds, which felt like forever, and then flew away. It was the most beautiful little hummingbird. And then, of course, I'm looking up, like, what is the spiritual significance of a hummingbird? And it's something along the lines of like freedom. I don't remember exactly what it was, but the point is everything in my life I look at now as a miracle. And that's because I'm following where my higher self is guiding me, not every single moment of every single day, but the unfolding that has taken place, the level of support, you guys. And we're going to land this plane on this. The level of freedom, the level of support, the level of emotional regulation, the level of complete and utter and sheer beauty, freedom, fulfillment, joy, happiness, connection that is available for you when you are living your soul powered life is almost indescribable. There are some times where I can't find the words. And I just want to share this because I know that there are some of you out there who are genuinely still in the battle where you're not sure if there is a light at the end of the tunnel, where you're not sure. You might be where I was, where people are telling you this is crazy and what are you doing? You might be listening to the fear mind. Is this ever going to work? I'm not even cut out for this. What am I doing? Who do I think I am? This isn't possible for me. I just want you to know that the people that you look up to in this industry, all of them, all of them, and the people that you think by society standards have it all, I promise you that they're thinking the very same things. Might be on a different level, but they're thinking the very same things, or they've had to overcome the very same things. The amount of times that I have asked myself, am I even cut out for this? I would be embarrassed. Actually, I wouldn't, but I would be, I don't even know, because I can't count how many times, put it that way. I'm not embarrassed by it, but it's one of those things I don't even know how many times I've asked myself that question. Am I even cut out for this? Who am I to share this message? Why would people even care what I have to say? And yet, there's people listening to my podcast every single week. There's people DMing me every single day. There's people who are sharing my message, sharing my work with the world, paying me to be in my existence, paying me to be in my world and for my advice and for my processes and for my systems and for my energy. Like, you guys, when I tell you that I never imagined this being possible for me, even 10 years ago, ever, like, I mean that. I didn't even know that the coaching world existed. I didn't even know that this was a thing. Not that you have to be a coach because you don't, and you don't have to even own your own business. Most of you guys do from the feedback that I get from you. But the point is, whether you work for someone or you own your own business, it's time to step into the new paradigm. It's time to start giving yourself permission to do more of what you love. It's time to start taking time off, not answering emails on the weekends and in the evening, not having to sacrifice so much of yourself for someone else or your business. Your business doesn't need you there 24 hours a day, by the way. It's actually more potent for you to show up in a really powerful energy for a shorter amount of time than just to work on things mindlessly for days on end. It's time to start asking yourself and your higher self, what is it that you want from me? What did we come here for? Did we come here to just be unfulfilled? Did we come here just to be a cog in this system? Did we come here to just work for someone else for our whole entire lives? Or did we come here for something greater? And if we came here for something greater, which I know you did, then what is that? How can I start to unravel this? How can I start to explore this? What would it look like if 1 year from now I were actually truly living my purpose? Ask yourself, what would that look like? If I were living my purpose and making money in alignment with my soul's path, if I just went ahead and suspended disbelief for a few moments and just realized that this is possible because other people are doing it. And if other people are doing it, then the lie that I've been telling myself that I can't is not the truth with a capital T. Because if it's true, it has to be true for everyone. So I know that that's not true. So if I go ahead and suspend disbelief just for a moment and ask myself, what do I want? Am I living what it is that I actually want? Am I happy? Am I truly happy? Or am I just going after what society deems a success? And I'm building someone else's fucking dream. Get really honest with yourself. There is so much freedom in just being truthful with yourself. And if you admit things that you didn't even know that were going on behind the scenes unconsciously, that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. It doesn't mean that you're going to manifest those things. This is shadow work, you guys, which I help my clients with, of course. It's okay to shine a light on the darkness inside of you. It's okay to shine a light on the dark thoughts. They're not going to manifest. That's not how it works. We've got to integrate them. We've got to accept them. We've got to understand that you're not wrong. You're not wrong for having these thoughts. You're not wrong for thinking that you can't do it. You're not wrong for waiting for permission. You're not wrong. There's nothing fucking wrong with you, dude. You literally are doing exactly what someone who has been programmed to believe the things that you are programmed to believe would act. It's not time to shame and blame yourself or anyone else. It's time to take back your power. It's time to ask yourself and get honest with yourself. Is this really what you want? Is this really what you thought it was? There are some of you I know that listen to this that you are living your dream. You are moving towards all of the things that you want. And there's deeper levels. There's deeper layers to it. And if that's you, I invite you to ask yourself, where am I still giving my power away? Where am I still buying into the matrix? Where am I still believing that I need to sacrifice and work hard and do all this shit that I don't want to do in order to be successful? Where am I still giving my power away? You guys, it's time to call back your power right now. Put your hand on your heart and call back your life force energy. Repeat after me. I call back any energy that I have given away. I call back my life force, my chi. It's mine. I demand it. I command it to come back to me right now. Any attachments, any cords, anything that I have done knowingly or unknowingly in the past, I cut those cords and just imagine that any attachments, any cords that are attached to you, any energetic entities that you do not want in your reality be cut and gone right now. Severed, disconnected, and removed now. We're calling all of our energy back. It is mine, and it is mine to create with. And it is mine to discover what it is that I came here to do on this planet. And that's exactly what I'm going to do with it. So I hope this message helped. I love each and every one of you. Let me know if this resonated with you. I'd love to hear your feedback. And if you want more of these, I'm happy to continue to create them for you. Love you all so much. See you in the next episode. Bye. Soul Sister, thank you so much for tuning in to this entire episode today. If you enjoyed this episode, would you do me a favor and leave a quick review? This allows me to reach more people, and if you found value, I know others in your life will too. Also, be sure to share this episode on social media along with your biggest takeaways so I know what resonates most with you and I can keep the good stuff coming. And if you're looking to dive into a deeper connection than this podcast will allow, consider checking out my Rise to Riches experience in the show notes below. I would love to hear how these messages have helped you take one step closer to living your soul-powered life and becoming the wildly wealthy woman. Sis, let's continue to rise together. I'll see you next time. Bye. Soul Sister, thank you so much for tuning in to this entire episode today. If you enjoyed this episode, would you do me a favor and leave a quick review? This allows me to reach more people, and if you found value, I know others in your life will too. Also, be sure to share this episode on social media along with your biggest takeaways so I know what resonates most with you and I can keep the good stuff coming. And if you're looking to dive into a deeper connection than this podcast will allow, consider checking out my Rise to Riches experience in the show notes below. I would love to hear how these messages have helped you take one step closer to living your soul-powered life and becoming the wildly wealthy woman. Sis, let's continue to rise together. I'll see you next time. Bye.